What if Albert Einstein had never been born? Would we still understand the universe the way we do today? Would time and space still be connected in our minds? And most importantly, would the world be a safer place? It's a strange thought, isn't it? One person, a single human being, shaping the course of history with nothing but ideas, no armies, no fortune, no weapons, just thoughts. But Albert Einstein was not an ordinary thinker. He was a storm of imagination, a burst of clarity in the fog of science. Let's take a moment to remember who he really was. Born in 1879 in Germany, Einstein was far from a child prodigy. In fact, some teachers thought he was slow, distracted, or even simple-minded. But beneath that quiet, curious exterior, a revolution was brewing. His theories didn't just explain the world, they transformed it. He challenged Isaac Newton's long-standing ideas of gravity. He introduced concepts like the bending of light, time dilation, and E equals mc squared, an equation so simple, yet powerful enough to split atoms. But Einstein's impact went beyond physics. He was a symbol of peace, of rebellion, of what it means to be human and free. He spoke against war, racism, and oppression, often putting himself at risk. He wasn't just trying to understand the universe, he wanted to change the world. So now, let's imagine. What if this man, this mind, had never existed? What if history had taken a different path? Today we explore a world without Einstein, a world that might have looked very different from our own. But what would it truly be like? Let's hear it from the man himself.
If I hadn't existed, well, physics would still be wearing a corset from the 1600s. No offense to Newton, brilliant guy, but his rules were a bit too stiff for my taste. You see, people used to believe that time ticked the same for everyone, like some cosmic clock that never skipped a beat. But, I said, hold on a second. Maybe time likes to play favorites. And guess what? It does. Time slows down when you go faster. It stretches near massive objects. It's kind of moody, like me before coffee. Without my theory of relativity, GPS wouldn't work. Every time you asked your phone for directions, it would say, turn left at yesterday. Space travel? Forget it. No warp drives, no black hole theories, no interstellar. The movie, not the science. Oh, and do you like knowing that light bends around stars? That's me. Light doesn't travel in straight lines around big things. It curves like it's going around a cosmic traffic jam. So, yeah, without me, the universe would still be stuck in a flat, boring grid. No curves, no fun. Next time you check your GPS, maybe whisper a little, "Danke schön," huh? I never built the bomb, but I lit the match. In 1939, I wrote a letter to President Roosevelt. It warned him that the Germans were working on something terrifying. A bomb powered by splitting the atom. A bomb that could destroy entire cities in seconds. I didn't want to write it. For years, I had been a pacifist. I spoke against war, against violence. But the world was changing. Hitler was rising. Science was being twisted into a weapon. I was afraid. Afraid that if we didn't act first, they would. And if they had built it before us, do you know what would have happened? London, Paris, Moscow, gone. The Nazis would have ruled the world with fire and death. So I signed the letter. The Manhattan Project was born, and years later, Hiroshima and Nagasaki burned. When I heard the news, I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I turned to my friend and said, "Woe is me. I have become death." They say it ended the war. They say it saved millions. Maybe it did. But every life lost in Japan, every shadow burned into the walls, lives with me. I gave the world the equation, and the world turned it into a weapon. And to this day, I still wonder if I did the right thing. I didn't invent computers, or the internet, or lasers, but maybe I opened the door. You see, science doesn't move in straight lines. One idea leads to another. One equation inspires a generation. Without my work, who knows what would have been delayed? Nuclear energy might still be a fantasy. MRI machines could still be science fiction. Wi-Fi? Maybe you'd still be using dial-up. People think my biggest contribution was to physics. But the truth is, I gave scientists permission to imagine, to dream beyond what seemed possible. Without that, maybe your hospital doesn't catch a tumor in time. Maybe your spaceship misses its course. Maybe your clean energy plant burns coal instead of splitting atoms. Sometimes I wonder how much progress depends on just one spark, and what happens when that spark never lights. Sometimes I wonder, what if I had never existed? Not because of the science, but because of the spark. I've seen it in their eyes, children, students, dreamers. They looked at my crazy hair, my mustache, my wild eyes, and they didn't just see a physicist. They saw permission. Permission to be curious, to be different, to ask questions, even the uncomfortable ones. You see, I wasn't a perfect student. I failed French. I annoyed my teachers. Once, I was kicked out of class for asking too many questions. And yet, here I am. People call me genius. But I was just stubborn enough to believe the universe would eventually answer me back. Without me, would some of those kids have stayed quiet? Would they have hidden their questions? Would they have thought, maybe I'm not smart enough to dream? That's what keeps me up some nights. Not the bombs, not the equations, but the silenced voices that might have stayed silent forever if no one had ever told them they could be loud.
Albert Einstein may have been just one man, but his mind reshaped how we see the universe and how we see ourselves. Without him, the world would be slower, our knowledge would be dimmer, and perhaps our future would be far more uncertain. Imagine the ripple effect of his absence. Entire fields of science might not exist, thousands of inventions might never be born, millions of minds might never be inspired. But it goes deeper than science. Einstein showed us that it's okay to question the rules, to challenge what everyone else assumes is true, to be different, to be bold, to think. So we must ask ourselves, how many other Einsteins have we lost to time? How many geniuses were never born, or never heard, or never given the chance? To poverty, to war, to prejudice, to a lack of opportunity? And what if the next Einstein is alive today, living in silence, waiting for the world to listen? So the next time you feel small or unimportant, remember, one mind really can change everything.